What's good, y'all? We are back at it again with another episode of the Wrong Sir podcast. I am hyped about this one, okay? I have interviewed this individual in person, but now she's going to be on my platform, and I'm so grateful, so excited. So this is an Olympian, y'all. This is our first Olympian on the podcast, okay?
Hey now.
So a two-time Olympic medalist. We're gonna dive into her story, but I'm gonna just introduce this amazing individual. I present to y'all Asia Evans.
Yes, thank you, Anaya, girl, for having me. I'm excited to be here with you.
Yes, I'm so excited. Y'all, this person is dope. We both from Chicago, so we got a lot of synergy too. So we got a lot to talk about.
You of I, Chicago,
right?
everything.
Exactly. So we got a lot in common, a lot of connections, and I just want to, so every episode, Asia, I highlight a woman in sports. So that's kind of my differentiator, something that I do every episode. And today I wanted to highlight kind of those individuals or that company who really brought us together. So the reason why you're here. And so our female highlight today is going to be Tiffany. And y'all, Tiffany is the Chicago area.
Her.
Yes, we love her. She's a Chicago area marketing manager for Athleta. And I met Tiffany. She's also in our little Illini community too. So we just all orange and blue out over here. But she connected with me, and I reached out based on a sponsorship for Athleta. And then Shelly, shout out to Shelly, really met Asia and built that connection. So they both work for Athleta, came together, and that's how me and Asia built that relationship. So just shout out to Tiffany for believing in me. I wouldn't have this opportunity speaking with Asia, probably not, without Tiffany's connection. So I just want to give her kudos. They're doing an amazing job at the Oak Street location in Athleta. So if you guys have not shopped, then they need to go do that.
Absolutely.
Yes. Moving forward, let's chop it up. Okay, we got a lot to talk about. You have an amazing year coming up. You got some amazing history, like we said, an Olympian. And first, I just want to start off. I think this is a really unique question that a lot of people just should ask people. You know, you're an athlete, a philanthropist, so much more, a mentor, a woman, a leader, basically. What's your intention? Like when it's all said and done, or like, what's the goal for you? Like, why are you doing all of this? What is Asia's intention for why she's going so hard for what she's doing?
Right. I think that that's such an amazing word and kind of thing to set the tone, because I've made a note to be very intentional in everything I do, whether it be sport, relationships, family, everything. I want to have more intention behind it. I want to make sure it's all going towards a goal and that further fulfillment. And so I believe that with sports and everything, and what just my overall brand and what I represent, my intention behind it is to leave a legacy of inspiration and purpose. Like that's kind of just, I think that's what I'm meant to do on this earth. Hopefully after I'm done with the Olympics and I settle down, I'll have kids of my own and build that legacy as well. But I think that my work as far as in the Chicagoland community, throughout the country, throughout the world, it's all been focused around inspiring others to lead that life full of purpose, to go after those things that excite you, that seem like only you get it and it's only meant for you to understand. And I'm just a living example of it. I don't think I'm out here trying to recruit everyone to be a bobsledder, but in doing bobsled for myself, which was something I was called to do, I feel like it allows others to see that it's possible for them to do whatever they want to do. And so I feel like that's how it's kind of that synergy and connecting back to others and my true purpose.
Yes, I love that. And inspiration, yes, and being intentional. I think being intentional is key. A lot of people are just doing things just to do it, but I feel like the more intentional you are, the closer fan base you can build and the more people you can genuinely touch. So
absolutely,
man, and you've inspired me. Like, y'all, meeting her in person, I was like, I met Asia, and it was just super inspirational, because it's like, let's talk about where we're from. Both from Chicago. I'm from the West Side, but you from the South Side.
Oh my gosh, you're West Side. My mama from the West Side, so she's from out West.
Yes. So I'm from the West Side, but we're both from Chicago in general. And I think we can just relate to each other a lot just from upbringing, and just being in a community. Like, we both come from alpha women. I can tell. I've watched your mom in her interview, super strong-willed, and that just reminds me a lot of my relationship with my mother. And specifically, we don't have a lot of people. We don't have anybody in our community who we can personally say we touched her. We knew who was an Olympian, or who a lot of our family members probably didn't get a degree in college, and all of those things. So let's just talk about your upbringing. Like, yes, you have the intention to inspire people. Yes, philanthropy and all of those things are rooted in who you are. But I'm curious, what's the root of that? Where did that come from? You know, because that comes from environment and upbringing and family and things.
Absolutely. Yeah, and all of those things, my environment, my upbringing, my family, all play a major role in being the Olympic medalist I am, let alone the woman I am.
Yes.
I grew up, I wasn't like forced to play sports. And I think that when you come from a family of successful athletes, sometimes it's hard to find your own niche and like what works for you. And with me, sports and participating in sports was always my decision. My mom, my dad didn't force me to do sports.
That's
I was
amazing.
very much an active kid growing up. My sister and I were always outside, like camps, sports camps, basketball, kayaking, canoeing, dance, whatever camp we could get in and be outside, we were in there. And so it wasn't until my freshman year of high school that I actually got into track and field and organized sports and doing it on a consistent basis, which is really old for like athletes that go on to participate in track on a pro or collegiate or any type of level after that. A lot of them start at age group. But again, I think that in doing so and doing it like that, it became my decision and my choice. And that was important. And when I started doing track and field and realizing that the better I performed, the more things I could do. Like if I'm winning races, then that means I get to go to other meets and I get to travel. Then I go to travel and I'm in different cities, different states and beating their girls. And then it led to me even competing on international levels. And so it was almost like that taste of exposure and new environments and being able to travel and just see other areas, see other parts of the world, other parts of the country, really opened up my curiosity to see how far I could take it, and just kind of not settle for what my direct environment was reflecting. I started to realize that, okay, if I want to do some things, I got to do them and I got to get myself where I want to go.
Yes, I totally agree. And I can relate too, right? Because just I went to Providence St. Mel for high school, and they had this program. It was called SOUL, like Summer Opportunity for a Lifetime. And I'm like, okay, what's this? And people telling my mom about it. And the kids in my class are like, hey, we usually go to like a camp, you know, for all girls. And it's like in Minnesota, and they got a lake and all of these activities. They got kayaking, paddleboard, and all of these things. And I'm young. I've never been away from my mom. And so I went there. I think my first time was like for a month, and the next one was like 2. And that's every summer. And just being 10, like I always say, I attest that to a lot of my growth, even just being able to like talk to people from different backgrounds. Like, you got people who aren't my color, like, hey, oh my God, is that your hair? Like little things like that. But that doesn't happen in your community. So when you're exposed to like more, you see like, hey, like there's more to your phone. There's more to nature. There's just more people out here who we just have no idea, you know, that they're out there, but you grow so much from it.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't know what you're not like exposed to. So for me, like I said, the better I got, the more I realized there was other stuff going on. There were some cuter boys in other cities. There was some everything. Like you think you gotta talk to the little hood boys around the way or whatever it may be. Like I started traveling, seeing all these little track guys from Texas and the South. I'm like, okay, so it's a lot going on out here. Let me stay on track.
Yes, I feel you with that one. And moving forward, like you said, sports has propelled you. Not being pressed to be an athlete, but it was something that naturally came to you. I didn't know, even from my first conversation, that track and field in high school, that was the first time you really ventured into it.
It's crazy. And I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but just speaking to that, one of the first memories I got of starting track and field. So I started working with my coach, Derek Calhoun from Morgan Park High School, who is both my high school coach and my like summer track program coach. Okay. And so I started off in the track program leading up to my freshman year. And one of the first things I learned was with my mom. She bought a pair of sprint like starting blocks, and we had no room to be practicing for real in my house. So we put them up against this like wall under the stairs, and she would say set and clap, and I would just do one quick step. That's all I could do. Otherwise I was going to run face into the wall. But it was like boom, boom. So I learned how to do fast block starts through her. And then I hopped in my first race or two, and girl, I was popped flying out of those blocks. And then it just got enhanced and improved through working with Coach Calhoun. And again, I started off getting a taste of that competition in summertime, that freshman year. But once I started rolling with the varsity and performing and beating a lot of the girls who, you know, seemed like big time seniors, it was like, okay, so I'm on to something. Like I might be good at this.
That is amazing. That's a good story too. Just talking about your start and being with your mom, like in the house and in the blocks. Cause I tried track and field my last year and I qualified for state, but like I was a little sprinter, like a runner. Them blocks, people think you can get out of them and just go. That's a whole different technique. Like
it really is. But that power that I tapped into in sprinting, it really transitioned into the power I had in shot put. That explosiveness I had in the blocks, my legs, that power, that's all the same things that I used in the ring and shot put. My hand only held the shot put ball. Like my legs did all the work. And then it transitioned right into bobsled. Like I start in this really static, low position, crouch position, and then I kind of explode out as fast as I can to push this 365-pound sled. So
that's
it's like
crazy.
Everything is power, power, power.
Yes, that's amazing. And you get to that moment, right? You know, you're like, okay, I can compete. You know, I'm being ranked seniors. I'm doing my stuff. Now you got big schools looking at you. Talk about that recruiting process. Like, how does that feel? And then like, why U of I? Like, why did you choose that to be your location?
Yeah, awesome. I'll talk about mine. You got to tell me about yours too, because U of I I wanted to go to U of I coming out of high school, but they weren't really offering me like a full ride fresh out of high school. And so one thing I wanted to do outside of attending a school like that was go away. Like I was like, peace out. I'm going to Vegas. I went to UNLV my freshman year of college. And I worked under Coach Barbara Farrell Edmondson, who's an Olympic great, track and field great. And I was like, yes, she's from Chicago. I'm back with my people. Like track was going great. I just did not like being out there so far away from home, just a completely new environment, totally different people than I'm used to. And it was a lot to take in that first year. And so I ended up transferring to University of Illinois. Got that full ride though when I transferred, because after my freshman year of college, I ended up I went from throwing and shot put. The furthest I threw in high school was probably like 42 feet. And that was me like performing at state. And I was really proud of, like, I think in my senior year of high school, I got like 5th at state. And that was like amazing for me, because those girls used to scare me, you know, like that's like a different territory. I'm a sprinter. I'm used to having 4 sprint events, all finals at state. And so shot put, they're all like over 6 feet, over 200 pounds, just like it was intimidating. And I was like, my 5th place, I was proud of that. But then from my freshman year, from my senior year of high school to my freshman year of college, I went from 42 to 48 feet. And then from that 48, I went to 57 by like my sophomore year. So like I kept advancing, kept getting better and making these astronomical leaps. Like, but yeah, I think that like I had to go through my little discord and just figure out what was best for me and what situation. But ultimately being at U of I was the best decision. It was far enough away from home to where I still got that collegiate feel and like I was away, but it was also close enough that I could hop on the expressway or the train and be right
Straight
back
and
home.
go home. Yes, girl. I take that $14 train. Okay, the
Yes,
Amtrak.
girl. Megabus used to be popping too. I done had a couple rides for like $1.
What? I need to go back in your time, okay?
Right.
But we sound the same though, because okay, so like for me, I was like, I want to go away. I'm trying to get away from home. Like, you think you just know it all when you're going through the process. You're like, I want to
Girl,
get
you
far.
know.
And I did a business program at Indiana University like the summer before. And I was like, oh my God, this campus is beautiful. Like,
Right.
I met my friends. We were all like, hey, we all gonna go here. Like, we all gonna apply. You gonna apply? You gonna apply? So he was like, yeah, we gonna go. And I applied. I got in. And it's so crazy because the only reason I applied to U of I because I had a scholarship, and they were like, well, you have to apply to one in-state school. Like, it's a must, like, to still be in a scholarship. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna apply to the best one. I'm gonna go to U of I.
Yeah,
Like,
there you
I'm just
go.
apply. I was like, but I'm not really thinking about going there. Like, it's okay. Man, gets down to it. Got into U of I. I mean, U of I gave me like so much money. And then Indiana, I was like, ooh, I'm a little shy, a couple thousand. I'm like, what's gonna happen? And my mom was like, okay, well, be patient. I'm like, well, Mom, I got another scholarship coming. Like, hopefully I get it. Didn't get it. And I was like, ooh, and it was about that time. And I was like,
you had to make a decision.
Gotta make a decision. Like, you ain't finna go in debt for school when you can still go to a good business school. So I was like, okay, U of I. But ultimately, like you said, thinking back on the network, the connection, the experience I had so far, and I haven't graduated yet. Best decision ever. Like, best.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, even when you touched on network back when you were talking about how we met, I think that more athletes and more young women, young men need to understand how to network, how to speak for themselves, how to introduce themselves, how to build communication, build a rapport, exchange business cards, and follow up, because that networking and the Illini network has been a game changer. They are so supportive of everything that I do. I felt the support even as a collegiate athlete, let alone post-collegiate, pursuing the Olympics and everything. And I find so many Illini people, Black, white, whatever, all different parts of the world. I have met people in other countries that went to U of I randomly golfing, and the person next to me went to U of I. So I definitely think that it's an amazing network, and a lot of athletes really need to understand the power of their network and how to tap into these collegiate networks and other areas that they're in.
Yes, I totally agree. Like Kendall Gill, he was like part of the Flying Illini team. Like, we work out sometime, and he's a family friend. And he's like, we were talking the other day, and he's like, man, you know how much money I still make off speaking engagements just to talk about what I did in the tournament, and like 80 something, because it's like people just love it. Like, the network is just huge. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And I think that with everything that you do is so many opportunities for more partnerships and to work with so many other people to get your voice heard and your podcast and whatever else you want to do. And it's a lot of amazing Illini connectors and people all in between there. And that's what I've learned too. It's like, I've had a couple people where they didn't even specialize in what I needed the help in. They had somebody else though that did. And so like, I think there's so much power in really just learning that. And Illinois was my first taste at really understanding how to represent myself, how to speak, how to network and be around people that have major influence financially, whatever the case may be. And just to kind of make things happen. Like, as an Olympic athlete, we're not funded by the government. Everything we do self-funded. You receive stipends and bonuses for competing. However, in order to even make it, like this entire national team process I've been going through since February, I've self-funded the entire time, thousands of dollars to compete in Park City, Utah, Lake Placid, New York, go back to Lake Placid again for push championships, and back to Lake Placid again in September for combo push championships. So all of this, in order to even make the team, I have to pay this money to get to these places and to do whatever I need to. And so for me to even be here, I had to learn how to network, how to grow and represent myself and become a brand, because financially I can't work a full-time job, train full-time, and then be in Lake Placid competing. So it's just not possible. But the beauty in your network is so many people that want to help, want to be a part of it, want to support you, don't even be wanting anything in return. I've had some of the most influential supporters I've had early into my career were private investors, donors that wanted to help never needed any publicity, any public thank yous. They just wanted to see me succeed, and we built the relationship from there. But it's a lot that comes with that. So it's
I
really
agree.
important.
That's amazing. And I have a question to build upon that. You were a collegiate athlete. And just to be real, like transparent, we see a lot of athletes who come into college with a lot of notoriety, not knowing how to interview, not knowing how to speak in front of these cameras,
absolutely,
all of these things. Like, what's your advice? Like, what would you give to these people who come in and, you know, just to show them the importance? Like, bro, if you're gonna be on TV, you gotta know how to talk. Like
that matters so much. I am from Chicago. I could switch it up right now and talk like I'm from Chicago, and then they want to, you know what I'm saying? But like, it matters that my what I'm trying to say gets received. And so you have to put it in that perspective. Like, it's not always about saying how you feel like, and they got to catch it and be into it, how you deliver it. But like in communication, I think it's really important that the people you're talking to or the people you're trying to reach are able to receive your message. And if you're talking in slang from the hood, or like,
what's up, G? What's up?
Right, you know what I'm saying? I can't get on an interview and be like on NBC or some wild stuff for like the Olympics and be like, yeah, G, so I was out there trying, you know, it just doesn't work like that. And so I think there's time and place for everything, but it's very important to learn how to represent yourself in front of cameras, in front of people that you've never met before, because those impressions you make can change your life, let alone last forever.
That's key. I think that's the best way I've heard it said, just about thinking about how everybody will receive it. You know, like we said, those experiences going away, people receive different stuff. You got to know, like, read body languages correctly. Who's not interested? Who really not vibing with what you're saying? Like all of those things, they're huge for real. Yeah.
And listening.
Yes.
I think that people don't listen enough. They listen to respond, be ready to have what they say before the other person even finishes speaking. And I think that, you know, when you slow down and listen, you can receive the messages and the things that can really be beneficial to you. And sometimes it's nerves. Like, I have got in rooms or on stages and I don't even remember what I said by the time I get off, because it's like, girl, I was so nervous up there. I was probably talking a mile a minute or whatever, but you just got to slow yourself down sometimes and know that it's okay. And those interactions and networking and communicating like that can be very intimidating for a lot of people, no matter like how successful they are in sports or their careers. So I think it's slowing down and realizing we're both human, and just taking it a conversation at a time allows you to really get what you're supposed to get out of it.
That's great advice. So for any collegiate athlete that's listening, hey, we got a person who's been on TV everywhere and knows the importance of speaking. So definitely utilize that. And I had just a moving further question outside of just speaking. Went back to U of I. Let's go there. UNLV, U of I, continuously progressing as an athlete, like getting better, like you said. Then your coach recommends, like, hey, you got a lot of power in your legs. I see you. You might need to change this sport. Tell me, like, what was that experience like from track to bobsledding?
Yeah, well, it's so funny because when my coach at U of I told me about the sport of bobsled, I wasn't thinking twice about what he was saying because, you know, little stubborn Asia had it made up in her mind. She's going to the Olympics in track and field and you can't tell me nothing. And so when that didn't happen, I was working as a sports performance trainer out in Highland Park at EFT Sports Performance. And it was a really like amazing environment for me because I was helping all of these athletes and corporate clients, adult clients, kids, everyone accomplish these goals they have for themselves, whether it be major weight loss goals, just a better daily habits. I had a girl who's like a little sister to me now that's competing for Oregon at this point. And now she's at Oregon, a track and field athlete. But when she came into EFT work with me, she was her sophomore year of high school. And she went on to become a state champ, multiple state champ, scholarship offers from everywhere, and then ultimately fulfilling her dreams at like a very prestigious track and field school. So to be a part of that was so fulfilling and amazing for me, but I still felt like something was missing for me. Like my Olympic dreams, I didn't even tap into them to what I think. And so in 2012, I was still working at that gym, but my brother played in the NFL at the time. And a lot of athletes come back in town during the summertime for their off-season training. And so I told the owner of the gym, like, hey, so I have this idea. I don't know. I'm gonna show you some videos on it. I don't really know how to explain it, but they have a combine coming up and I think you can get me ready. And so I showed him, told him what I was doing. And he was like, okay, let's do it. Like, and there wasn't anything more, anything less. And I got straight to work. And in 3 months, I did my first combine with the team and it was history ever since then. But boy, them 3 months broke me off. I was in there with those football players trying to keep up and it was so tough. But I think that mental, men have, and like male athletes, they have such a strong mental capacity to take in. They compete and train under high stress, and then they cool with the teammates, and then they turn around and be competitors against the same teammates. And it's just the wildest dynamic. But that's exactly what I deal with in bobsled. We're not all kumbaya. Everyone that's my teammate doesn't necessarily like me or like want to have the best for me. I mean, you know, it's all love, but it's still a competition at the end of the day. In the sport of bobsled, you have 3 sleds on the women's side, which means it's only 3 opportunities per sled, or it's 1 opportunity per sled for a brakeman. So it's So by the time we get to the Olympics, even if we qualify 3 sleds, it may be even just 2. That's only 3 opportunities for 6 or 8 brakemen, however many they name, to make the Olympics. And so it gets slimmer and slimmer as closer you get to the Olympics. And so it's not a fun like dynamic. It gets tough to balance. But training with those guys helped me to understand how to balance the two, how to remove the emotional aspect, do my work, be a good teammate, and do what else I need to do and keep it moving. And so I really credit those guys and my work with them as far as like really understanding how to come into the sport of bobsled with such a force that I did.
Yes, that's amazing. And I think it just, for me, like, you have to have faith in yourself. You have to have a lot of strength mentally just to trust yourself enough to be like, girl, I got this. Like, whatever happens, like, hey, I got this. But I'm really curious. I think it's so interesting. You talked about like working out with your brother and these NFL players. I already know that was different. So you got to tell me about it. Talk to me. Paint me a picture of the most memorable moment when training with them.
Oh, memorable moment. Me outboxing.
You got it. Look, she's like, ooh.
Box jump. Because like, I can go pound for pound with these guys. Like, they weren't taking it easy or just like, oh yeah, Age, take your little break. Like, no, if I was with the big dogs, I had to be a big dog. Like, it wasn't anything in between. And so like, I was still coming with that work. I'm a very hard worker. I'm very elite in my training and I can keep up with the best of them. But there's one athlete from the Chicago Bears and very prestigious football career. It goes by name Forte. I'm not sure if you know who that is, but I happened to have trained side by side with him for a while and I can outbox jump him, which is, I'm proud of that. My highest seated box jump. So if you ever seen on YouTube or Instagram, sometimes I post some of my box jumps. And those are like my favorite exercises to do. But like, it's really important for me to help channel that posterior chain and that explosiveness from like that static seated position. That's kind of like similar to me being behind the bobsled and then exploding up to jump on the box. And so my highest box that I've jumped on is 54 inches. So if I was standing up, it would come to my shoulder. So from a seated position, I've jumped up to 54 inches. So like, I can go head to head with some guys on those box jumps. Yeah, but they are all amazing athletes. And so I can't go too hard.
That is amazing. Oh my God, the power that must take. Girl, we gotta work out. We gotta work out. When you come to Chicago,
I'm ready.
Like, what's going on?
Okay, deal.
Let's do it. Oh my God, that's crazy. And that's amazing. That's so dope for me. And also just moving forward, like combine, making it, before we hop into the experience of how it was just competing, you know, for that medal, a lot of people, and even just our color, don't necessarily know what the sport of bobsled is and definitely don't know what a brakeman is. So just talk to me about, like, because you know there are multiple positions. Talk to me about what is a brakeman? Like, what differentiates your position, and like what qualifications really help you stand out against the people who are competing for those 3 spots?
Right. So the sport of bobsled is basically for women. You have two man. So you have the pilot slash driver who steers the sled down the ice once we get it going. And then you have my position, which is the brakeman. And I'm kind of like the engine to the sled. At the start of the race, I get it going from 0 to 100. I hop in right after the pilot. The pilot navigates the sled using these D-rings. So it's not like a steering wheel like we kicking it.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. She's navigating down the track using these D-rings that are controlling the runners, which are the blades that the sled sits on. So it's about a mile long track, give or take a few kilometers. And so it's we're steering down the track the entire time. I'm just in the back, relaxed and
head
stuff.
down. I
and
seen you, girl. I didn't
head
watch
down,
you.
trying to breathe, trying to pray, whatever energy I can just bring in that's positive, just whatever. And so once we pass the finish line, that's when I actually come up and I pull these handles, and a big metal claw grips the ice and slows us down as we're passing the finish line. But like my job as a brakeman is to get the sled going as fast as possible with great velocity into the track. And then I kind of stay relaxed and buoyant in the back of the sled as the pilot navigates down, and then I pull those brakes at the end.
Yes, that's amazing. I have, even before the Athleta event, just watching, I'm like, woo! Like, y'all gotta see her. If anybody is listening, go on YouTube, type in Asia Evans, bobsledding, even with the competition or her practicing. It's like the stance you're in. It's kind of like you're in a squat a little bit. And I've literally watched, like, when they do the slow-mo, it's like the push-up. It's like, wow. And how many pounds is the sled?
Yeah, so the sled minimum weight is 365 pounds.
Woo!
Girl, it's crazy.
That is crazy.
And then I run about like 45 meters or so.
How on an average, do you know how fast you're going?
Every track varies. So each track is very unique in how it's created. And just the speeds and how fast it gets. One of the fastest tracks in the world is in Whistler, Canada. And it's one of the most dangerous tracks, but it's definitely fast. Like in Whistler, I felt the speed. And there I went a little over 90 miles an hour at the fastest speed. So no seatbelt, girl, just kicking it in the back. Like, so yeah.
It's amazing though, because I think my favorite thing too, like I'm a sports person. I think a lot of people, like when you genuinely love sports, 9 times out of 10, almost every sport is going to be so interesting to you. And I think the ones that are not so mainstream that we see everywhere all the time of the year, sometimes to me, they're more fascinating, like to push up, to run.
Absolutely.
And a hop in.
Listen, yes, bobsled's amazing, but some of these Winter Olympic sports that I have never seen as a Black girl from the South Side of Chicago, like that was one of my favorite memories of 2014, let alone just being an Olympic athlete at the Olympic Games, was going in person to see all of these crazy events live, like ski jumps, moguls, speed skating, figure skating, just snowboarding, half pipe, like all these things that I've never seen in person, let alone period, just growing up where I'm from, was so exciting to experience on the Olympic stage and just in person. So that energy, I love watching the Olympic Games. I love cheering on Team USA at other events, and I can't wait to hopefully be there in 2022 and catching even more events. Girl, listen, I'm all about claiming it. So yes.
That is amazing, and I think it's great. And moving forward, we got competition, hopping in, you gotta be still, all of these techniques and things that you've like worked your butt off for months, and it all comes into that couple seconds that really pays off. Talk to me, describe to me about that time, because I've seen the clip, you standing up and the medal just puts over you and you was like that.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how that felt, like what was going through your mind. Just describe to me where were you mentally?
Yeah, by the time the medal hit my neck, reality really set in that I won an Olympic medal and I accomplished a very lifelong dream that I had. And I even just got goosebumps now thinking of it, because as an athlete, like, yeah, I was happy to be at the Olympic Games and stuff like that. But like, I was going in as a competitor. I wanted to win.
Right.
It's like celebrating is cool, but like, I'm there to do work and I have a goal in mind.
Yes.
So, you try not to get too lost in the excitement of everything you're doing and try and stay true to your vision and what you're there to do. But boy, when that medal hit my neck and I saw my entire family there in Sochi, Russia, cheering me on, thousands of people in the crowd cheering us on, that was the most exciting moment of my entire life. Like the medal itself, you felt it. It's unlike any other medal I've ever won in my life. It's heavy.
It's
it has
so
a
heavy,
nice
y'all.
weight behind it.
I held it, y'all, at the Athleta event. I was like, this crazy. It was heavy.
Exactly. And like when they put it on my neck, it just like the reality just sunk in, and it's like all you can do is just accept it and enjoy it and just really be proud of yourself in that moment. And so that was a moment to where I was just proud of myself and proud of the work little Asia from the South Side did.
As you should. Okay, that is amazing. And I also just have another question building upon that. Typically, we know you have different competitions, like you said, in Placid and all of those things, but we're really working for what's going to happen every 4 years, and that's to get to the Olympics. You had one of my favorite videos with you on your Instagram page, your content, and it started off, but before the song started off, you had a voiceover and you was like, every day you have a choice, stay the same or change. That's my favorite video of you. I love it. I'm like, yes, okay. And then the beat drop, I'm like, you killing it, okay. But
now,
even speaking upon that, like you said, every day you have a choice, like stay the same or change or improve to be better. Sometimes I can't imagine, being a basketball player, it's 82 games a season, a couple little months of break, and you back on. Y'all have 3-4 years of training in between that huge moment. How do you stay just positive? How do you keep pushing for so long, waiting for one moment to happen? Like, talk to me about that.
Right. It is tough. And like, so leading up into the Olympic Games, we have our entire World Cup season. So we have the international circuit. We will compete in 8 races throughout Europe from November up until February. Then we head to the Olympic Games. And so that helps us to stay really in tune, really competitive, and preparing us to be the best of the best at the Olympics, because ultimately we compete against the same people we compete against throughout the World Cup season. So it's about who performs the best at the Olympic Games on that day. And so leading up to that, it's really important to protect my mental health more than anything, boy. And I didn't realize the importance of that until like I got later into my athletic journey and my Olympic journey. I think that as a Black woman, just growing up, you just learn to internalize a lot of things, and it's not always the best thing. You just got to be tough, got to be strong. You're not fazed by anything, and it's all bull. I'm fazed by all of them things I internalize. I don't let people see it, but like I feel it, and it starts to, like just do something to you on the inside. And so, in protecting my mental health and just really taking myself into account first and foremost, I had to learn what that looked like for me. I had to learn how to be a teammate, but also get my peace of mind and have my space to where I can unwind how I am. I'm naturally really introverted. Like, it's wild because I know I do a great job. And you know what? I believe you, because I feel like I do a pretty decent job. And you like family at this point, but if in a perfect world, like for every hour that I spend networking and doing some extroverted stuff, I need about 2 or 3 to recharge and just kind of be to myself. And in the sport of bobsled, I'm around about 8 to 9 women that I may be cool with, I may not be, teammates, but also competitors, every different ages, different walks of life, and we're around each other 24/7, every stop on the road, everywhere we go. And so that's a lot, and I can't act like it's not. And so I had to learn how to still do the things that work for me, still have the time for myself, still get my recovery. Girl, my rest, sleep and rest have been transformative for me. I use this Whoop device.
Yeah.
And
hey, Whoop, if y'all listening, she need a sponsorship.
Yes. Run that. But no, like it helps me to really understand the quality in my rest, not just the amount of time I'm getting, how I'm resting, being the consistency behind it so I can perform at the level that I do. And so when I started making the changes to really make sure I was in the best space mentally, everything else started to show in the physical aspect. So like my performances were A1, despite whatever drama going on the team. I'm still doing what I need to perform. I'm still checking all the boxes I need to make the national team and hopefully the Olympic team. And so you got to stay true to what you want for yourself, but also realize that you have to put yourself first. A lot of times it can seem selfish and like you're like being distant or you're doing things to negatively impact others, but you're doing what you need to for you, and other people got to realize that too. Like everything not about you. It's sometimes I got to do stuff for my own sanity and to even be the woman performing, let alone sitting here on camera. And so really balancing that, staying true to that, and realizing that like as much as I do for others and to perform, I got to put in that same energy, keep that same energy with myself.
Yes, that's amazing. And speaking of mental health, like we've seen athletes like Brandon Marshall, previous Chicago Bear, like a lot of Kevin Love, a lot of people have been speaking up about the importance of mental health. We just seen Simone Biles, like she just left like, hey,
oh my goodness,
not for me, not right now.
Simone Biles doing that really spoke to me because I struggle with figuring out the best way to articulate it because I feel like if I don't say it in a certain way, it can be misinterpreted or taken wrong. But I completely feel for her 110%. I think that was such a commendable move and very tough, man. I'd be at the Olympic Games and be like, man, I'm not in the right space right now. I need a minute. I've been at the Olympic Games and not been in the right space and wish I could have said that. And to see her, but you still put, like I said, you be pushing through, you be doing things and thinking you can psych yourself out. And that has long-term effects and damage. And honestly, it's really important to put yourself and yourself first. And like, you have to be intentional about that in every aspect, no matter if you're on the field or at home. And so unfortunately, she had to make a decision in those moments, but then she came back and she was cheering her teammates on. They still produced, they still pulled off many medals. She came back and finished on the beam. Like she did what she had to do. But like, I think that with our platform comes a lot of other things. So as you grow and accomplish new levels, you're going to have haters, you're going to have new levels, new devils, pressure, stress, things that come up that it's been moments where I've finished a workout or I'll be midway through a workout and just like bawling, like crying or like emotional or like overwhelmed. And sometimes I don't even know where it's coming from. Like, it's not like I'm injured. I just did something to hurt myself. I just think that you gotta slow down so you can hear yourself. You gotta hear what your body's telling you, what your mind's telling you, where you're being guided. When you try and force it, you're going against that flow. And in slowing down, I really found the flow. And I found how to do what works for me, what works for my body, what works for my mind. And that's really how I'm learning to be my most successful self. And I think that like I just posted on Instagram not too long ago because I was doing a pool workout. And pool workout for me was because I was injured. My back was so blown up that I couldn't even physically do the drills on a track or on a hard surface without having excruciating pain. And so only thing I could do was do workouts in the pool, but I was able to do the exact same drills in the pool. It was weird. It's like mind blowing. I could still do the drills, but no pain.
Wow.
And so in doing that, we discovered that like, that's a good way to implement the extra day of drills and without it being so physically draining on my body. So we kept that in there. And like, in 2014, if we would have said I had pool workouts once a week, I'd be like, man, I'm not injured. I don't need to be doing that. I need to be lifting, squatting 400 pounds and like all this crazy stuff. And it's like, no, that's not what's best for my body. And I've grown and I've built such a foundation to where I don't have to lift crazy heavy or run myself into the ground. It's okay to listen to my body, make adjustments, and do what helps me perform at my best.
Yes, I think that's key. And I appreciate you, first of all, for being transparent and sharing that, because I think a lot of people, just pressures from athletes coming on the outside. A lot of athletes not gonna sit right here and be honest and say, hey, through a workout, I had a breakdown. Like I was not okay, because I think that, it's hard to let down a front when everybody expects you to be up here. And I cannot only imagine, because I ain't no Olympic athlete, but just we have pressure from family, from all type of things. So I really, I appreciate you for sharing it on my podcast.
Oh,
Seriously.
thank you. Thank you for creating such a space to where I feel comfortable sharing it. The conversation flows so well. And I think that this conversation is helping me, and hopefully can help a lot of people, because we're humans. I think like spaces like this make everything that I do so cool, because you get to see what it takes for me to get to that little less than a minute or a minute or less that you see me on ice at the Olympic stage. And it's like, yeah, that's awesome. But like that one moment does not define me. And it took a lot of stuff to get to that one moment. And so a lot more relatable stuff than people think. And so in sharing my story and having spaces like this to be honest and talk to you, it just really is fulfilling. And I feel like I'm continuing to flow with where I'm meant to be.
Yes, I love it. And we are so excited, y'all, because we claiming it. Okay, you're gonna be there.
Yes, girl. Let's do it.
Yes. And I had a question upon that. You talked about pool workouts, implementing them, just kind of knowing what's best and improving and understanding your body. What, as a spectator, as a fan, because I'm gonna be watching, and I'm hopefully the listeners are gonna be too. What is a differentiator between the Asia we saw last time and this time? What should we be expecting that's gonna be new?
This Asia is has way more of a veteran mentality. I was Asia from the south side of Chicago coming in, wanting to win an Olympic gold medal, and I didn't care who I had to go through to get it. Like, but in those 10 years since I started the sport, I've understood how to be a better teammate, how to what it takes to actually win, what it takes to have the success on ice, how to handle the mental drain, the mental stress. A lot of times that mental aspect is harder than the physical. It's days I'd rather lift all day, all 24 hours of the day, than have to deal with some of the drama I deal with in sports. And so it's just like understanding that with each level is going to come a challenge, and you have to be ready for it. And as athletes, we're competitors, but you got to realize that it won't always look the same. It won't always look like a physical challenge. Like, I got to win this race. Sometimes it'll be, I got to make sure I eat right throughout the day. I got to make sure this teammate is tripping, but like how I engage with them and how I react can set the tone for my successful. It's even making sure I don't let them throw me off my game and off my purpose and what my goals are. So you got to see that it's going to be coming from different ways and look differently, but also your success is going to come, and in fighting through and staying true to that vision, I think that you're really going to make it through. And that's kind of what I'm holding on to. The way I speak about my goals, the way I even write and word my goals have changed since 2014. How I view myself, how I talk to myself. A lot of things that we think don't matter, or you know how people say different things like, I was just in the gym earlier and there was this lady in there, and she was probably in her 40s and she looked good to me, but she was on the phone talking about how fast she was and how this and that, and she done been like this for so long. And I'm like, man, you listen how you just casually talking about that, but like when you talking you're listening, you the one that's listening. So everything I say, whether it be about someone else, about myself, I'm the one listening, and my body's hearing me and showing those results. So like all these people out here who think that like talking bad about somebody is gonna hurt that other person, or thinking all these thoughts are all, no, it's you and only you. So you gotta be gentle with yourself and have a little grace and realize that like what you saying, good, bad, or indifferent, is gonna be what you're experiencing. And so it's power in that. And so I say that to say that you have the power to really make whatever you want happen, but you got to speak it. You got to have the action behind it, because otherwise you just gonna sit around expecting different results and doing the same thing.
That's great advice. I agree with you. I think the first thing is just being okay internally, and then everything else, you know, like, to be real, like when we don't feel good inside, we look bad outside. Like little small things like that show up as your external. And I think that's key. So I'm gonna be looking, I'm gonna be watching for these improvements in February.
Absolutely.
Okay? And you forgot something. Off of the field, I've noticed an improvement. And just for me not knowing you too long, right? So when Tiffany texted me like, hey, Tiffany, I'm like, yes, I want to interview Asia. Like, where we at? Where we going? And of course, I got to do my research, reading about you just further than I already know, like really getting in depth. One thing I did notice, social media, you've been 10 times more intentional since.
Yes, girl. Thank you. I'm so proud of that.
Yes.
And I have to give a lot of credit to my team and the importance of having a team. You cannot do it all. You cannot be everything and be everywhere at one time. But like, there are a lot of people who are Olympians at other areas that I'm not an Olympian at. And it's about finding the right team. And so I most recently started working with a group to help me better manage my social media and be more intentional and bring those visions that I have to life and plan and stuff like that. And it's been helping me mentally more than anything.
It's amazing.
Oh my goodness.
Your page,
oh my goodness.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
girl,
you.
I had to tell you because I'm a marketing major.
So yes.
I'm a marketing major, so I'm always looking at just like aesthetic, and I'm always trying to learn it for the podcast. And I remember like I was like looking, I'm like, oh, when I talked to her, I'm like, she got to be more intentional on social media. Like, you're amazing. I met you in person. And I mean, from then on, y'all, Asia has been dropping reels, been dropping pictures, interacting with the fans, the audio. Like, your stories for me are amazing. Like, I love watching them. I love watching you work out. Like, little small stuff like that. Yeah, so I want to tell you, like, you killing it, first of all. And I'm glad that you really realize the importance too, because even when it comes, like you talked about funding, when you have a fan base, like you said, they always gonna ride hard for you when you really interact with them. And I just had a question. Like, you're building a brand right now. Like, that's what you're doing. You're building it. NIL is a thing now. All of these athletes and collegiates, they can literally profit off of all of these things they're putting on social media. Now that you've seen the importance of it and how intentional you've been and better engagement, all of those things, what would be your advice to an athlete who may not be taking NIL or social media serious? Like, what would you encourage them to do?
I mean, if I could have the opportunity back then to have done the things that I have, or even in some of my previous Olympic games, like, I'm really excited to continue. And I'm still so early on into like just really being more intentional with my social media that I'm so excited to see it grow. But it's a business and it's a way for me to make money. And again, I don't have it like that. Like, we're not paid like that through sport, through Olympic sports. Maybe the government want to help us out at some point, but until then, I have to do whatever it takes to be able to sustain and fulfill my dreams. And so, social media is absolutely an amazing way to continue growing and to bring in that revenue and being more intentional and actually putting together things that are paid promotions, learning how to speak, learning how to use products, learning how to share things on your Instagram. It actually can create revenue for you. And I think that that's awesome. I was a little struggling collegiate athlete thinking I was balling off that little check I would receive every month. And I was still struggling every month. So if you have other opportunities to grow and make revenue now that won't interfere with your performance and your training, absolutely. I think that it can only help and help get your story out and help you to get the support you need to continue to fulfill your dreams. So if there are athletes out here, collegiate athletes, I absolutely think you should maximize your social media platforms and be more intentional about how you represent yourself on these public platforms, because you never know who's looking, who's watching. and NCAA is always watching. So you want to be careful about that anyway. That was before y'all got the opportunity to be paid. Like now you have to be very intentional. But I also think it's a really unique opportunity there for you guys. And it's nothing but space and opportunity. So like, why not maximize that and really put your best foot forward?
Facts, and be intentional. And something I've seen you be intentional about. I'm trying to get me a little podcast exclusive right now, so we're gonna try and see what we can do. But Beauty and the Beast mode. Don't tell me too much about it. But what's the little thought process behind it, or what should we be looking forward to? Because I know that's something you building out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's something that I've kind of already started, and in 2020, before the world shut down, I had my first event, kind of inaugural event, to really just create a community of powerful women that want to support and provide each other with tools for their journey. I think that's what it comes down to. The more I grow, the more I network and experience things, the more I want to share with the person after me, or the kids, or the people I meet. It's rare that I have a lengthy conversation with anyone to where it doesn't lead to someone else I feel like can help them, or a network opportunity or anything. And so with Beauty and the Beast mode, my goal is to really help young women, athletes, female athletes, entrepreneurs to really understand the power in their journey, provide them with as many tools as I can, and to understand that they create their lives, and your habits and what you do on a consistent basis can really transform everything. And so that's the idea behind everything. And I'm excited to have some things come out later this year.
I'm so excited to see it. I love it. Like when I saw it, I'm like, that's amazing. Like the wordplay on that, and just the meaning behind it, killing it. Okay, so keep it up. I want to say that.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm like, yes, Angel, yes.
I appreciate that so much.
Killing it. And I just want to wrap it up, not take too much of your time, but I want to end with something that I felt like would be powerful and impactful. There was an event in terms of the Olympic trials with Sha'Carri Richardson, and so many people have had their opinion about it and what they feel like they want to say and all of these things. And instead of tearing down, in my opinion, or giving our own feedback on it, or what we feel like could have been done better, let's say if she were listening to this, because she went through the passing of her mother and all of those things, being in those positions where you talk about mental health and just staying consistent and just coming back better more than ever. If she can get an encouragement from a fellow, hopefully future Olympian when she is, what would you tell her right now?
Oh, I would tell her that she is a beautiful young woman that has amazing things in store for her. She's just scratching the surface as far as her talent goes. I am ready to cheer her on in 2024. And I think that this was a big learning experience for her, but that's what she should keep it at and leave it at that. I think that being an Olympic athlete is really hard to balance the stressors of what you have to face and prepare yourself going into it outside of just everything you're dealing with in the everyday world. And so, decisions were made, and she owned up to it and owned up to the consequences. And now it's time for her to regroup, refocus, and come back stronger than ever. I think that brand wise, she will be a-okay if she's not already in a better position than she was before. I think that she has more support than she's ever had from people around the world. Agree. And I also think that this sheds a light on a very interesting topic amongst Olympic sports, as well as like other sports. Like NFL, they changed rules regarding cannabis. NBA, they've changed rules regarding it. And I think that with everything that she's done so far, no, it didn't work in her favor for the 2020 Olympic Games. I think she'll be fine, if not better, by 2024. But I also think she may have created the momentum to make changes within Olympic sports that we may not have had if it hadn't got blown up the way it did. I think that in sports like NFL and NBA, they have a lot of powerful athletes that took a stance to make changes regarding these rules. And I think that with Olympic sports and the just everything that came with that whole thing, I think that it's hard to ignore it. I can't see this not being a topic of conversation in the meetings with the ILC and just kind of how everything moves from here. But I think that she will be part of history as far as rules being changed and advancements made to really continue to put the athlete first. But I mean, 2020 wasn't her time, but I know she's going to go hard in 2024, and I love to see it.
Yes, yes. Oh my God, that's amazing. Okay, we got Sha'Carri, if you're listening, we got to find a way to get this to you, because I think that would just be great. You know, like we hear a lot of people talking, but to come from a person who has been to the Olympics and, you know, can just give you encouraging advice, and a person who's your color, like who can really relate to you. I think that's different. So I appreciate you, Asia. That's really all I have.
Thank you.
But for everybody listening, I'm going to link Asia's website below so you guys can sign up and be on her subscriber list and all of those things. Stay tuned. If you haven't followed her, where can they find you on Instagram?
Asia L. Evans on all social media. So that's AJALEVANS, and same for my website. And yeah, just catch me on Instagram, my crazy stories, or whatever it may be.
Yes. So thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you, Asia. Got our first Olympian, so we checked some off the list today.
Now.
But I appreciate you so much. And just looking forward to building this relationship. And for all my listeners, I hope you guys really enjoyed this. Stay connected, follow her. And we're gonna see your progress in February.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.